Hello everyone, welcome to our channel Diverging Parallels. Hope you are great and healthy. We are back with another part of the stock market basics. So before moving forward, let us have a quick recap of the topics which we have studied in the last lecture. So in the last lecture, we have seen a typical journey of a company when it reaches the IPO process. So we have seen that initially when the company is in the idea phase, that is, the company has not started generating revenue, the investors which invest are called the angel investors and the fund they invest is called the seed fund. As the company start generating revenue, venture capitalists start investing. These venture capitalists basically fund the businesses which are in the early stage. So the venture capitalists also have a lot of rounds of funding like the Series A, Series B, Series C, etc. Now as the businesses become more robust and more established, private equity firms start investing. These firms have highly qualified professionals and they invest in large amounts. The basic difference between the venture capitalists and the private equity firms is that a venture capitalist basically invests when the businesses are in the early stage of business and the private equity fund when the businesses are well established. Also the amounts, the venture capitalists invest a relatively lower amount than the private equity firms. Further, if the companies need more capex requirement, they can issue their shares to the general public. So this is where they go for an IPO, which is the initial public offering. So we can see that this is a typical journey of a company going for an IPO. But there are many times that company directly goes for an IPO without going through some healthy rounds of fundings. It is not recommended for a company to go directly for an IPO because a few rounds of funding from credible venture capitalists and private equity firms shows that the business is of high quality and the promoters are credible. So it is recommended that the business companies go for a few rounds of funding. Coming to a very important question, that why do companies go public? They have an option of keep getting funds from the venture capitalists and the private equity firms. Then why going for an IPO? So I have written three important reasons why a company goes for an IPO. The first one is to raise the fund to meet the capex required. The funds raised by the venture capitalists and the private equity firms are not sufficient many a times for their capex requirement. So they need a huge amount which can only be raised through an IPO. The second important reason is to avoid tips. So the companies also have an option to raise the money from the banks, but doing so will raise the tips and they have to pay the finance charges, which will automatically translate into lesser profitability. And the final important reason is to spread their risk. So when the company goes for an IPO, they are indirectly spreading their risk. Means that when one buys the share, he is also taking the risk from the promoter. Thus, when the company goes public, the promoter is actually spreading his risk amongst a large group of people. Moving to the most important slide of today's lecture, which is the IPO sequence events. Meaning, these are the sequence in which the IPO process typically moves. The first important thing is to appoint the merchant banker. He is a person who basically assists the company with various aspects of the IPO process. He works very closely with the company and prepares their listing documents, including the draft red herring prospectus (DRHP), which we will discuss in the later stage. He also helps the company to arrive at a price band for the IPO, as well as helps in the roadshows, which are the promotion and the marketing activities for the company's IPO. After appointing the merchant banker, they have to apply to SEBI with the registration statement, which basically contains the details of what the company does and why the company plans to go public, as well as the financial health of the company. Now, if the company gets the nod from the SEBI, then the company has to prepare the DRHP, which is Draft Red Herring Prospectus. So This is a document that gets circulated to the public, and it contains a lot of information like the estimated size of the IPO, the estimated number of shares being offered to the public, why the company wants to go to public, and how does the company plans to utilize the funds, along with the timeline projections of the fund utilization. So these are the lot of things that are written in the DRHP. The next thing the company has to do is to market its IPO. So this involves TV and print advertisements in order to build the awareness about the company and its IPO offering. This whole process is called the IPO roadshow. Once the marketing of the IPO has been done, they have to fix the price band. Generally, companies don't fix the price of the IPO. They keep a price band. People can choose any price within the price band they think is fair for the IPO issue. Now comes a very important question. How does the price of the IPO decided? So this is decided through the book building process, which is perceived as an effective price discovery method. In this process, we basically collect all the prices within the band chosen by the public along with their respective quantities. And after the book building window is closed, then the price point at which the issue get listed is decided. This price point is usually decided with the price that has the maximum bids. Finally, the company actually gets listed on the stock exchange, and this day is called the listing day. The listing day price is the price that is decided based on the market demand and supply on that day, and the stock may be listed at a premium, par, or a discount of the cutoff price. So this was the whole event of sequences when a company goes for an IPO. To summarize, the company first appoints merchant banker, then the company applies to SEBI with the registration stat, then the company makes the DRHP document, which is floated in the public. Then the company markets the IPO, which is called the IPO roadshow. The company fixes the price band for the public, and through the book building exercise, they finalize the exact price of the IPO. Finally, the company is listed based on the market sentiments, and it may be listed at a premium, par, or the discount of the cutoff price. Now, when you will read more about IPO, you will find out the few jargons which are very important to clarify. So I have written all of them down in this slide. The first one is the primary market. So this market is basically when the companies start selling the new stocks for the public for the first time. So this is called the primary market. When the company shares get listed on the stock exchange, then it is traded in the secondary market. Undersubscription and oversubscription is when the number of shares offered in the IPO are more than the bids received. Then it is undersubscription, and it shows that the company's IPO was not that successful. Oversubscription, on the other hand, means that the number of shares offered in the IPO is less than the bids received. This means that people are very crazy about the stock and the IPO was very successful. Now the fixed price IPO, which means that company doesn't release the price band. They have a very fixed price of the IPO, and the public has to choose that price. So this ends the today's lecture. Hope you have enjoyed this and you have got to know about the IPO, how does the IPO process work, and what are the sequence of events a company has to go through while applying for an IPO. Thank you very much. We will see you in the next session. And if you have any queries, you can mail us at divergingparallels@gmail.com. We will be more than happy to answer all your queries. Thank you. Be happy. Be safe.